We should start seeing other people, but stay married for appearances, my wife said, and smiling as if nothing was wrong. I sat in silence, already planning exactly how to end her performance. My wife cut into the steak before I sat down. Rare, just the way I like it, not the way she does. She always said it looked like murder. So whose steak was it? I stared at the blood pooling around the edge of the plate, and my chair creaked as I finally sank into it. She didn't look up. Her eyes were glued to her phone, perfectly lit by the warm glow of the dining room. No candles, no music, just the soft clink of her knife against the porcelain. There was no hello, no how was your day, no kiss, just one sentence, not even a cruel one, just surgical. I think we should start seeing other people, but stay married, at least for appearances. I didn't blink, didn't ask questions, didn't yell, just looked back at the steak that was still bleeding. I thought about the ring on her finger. I thought about how my mother had cried at our wedding. I thought about the years I had spent building a life, while she found herself on retreats that I now realize were nothing more than hotel rooms she never checked into. She finally looked up. Her eyes scanned me as if I were a piece of furniture that no longer matched the decor, as if I had somehow become an inconvenience in her new aesthetic. I didn't say a word. I stood up, walked to the door with my shoes still muddy from work. I didn't grab my coat, didn't even close the door behind me. The wind did. The wind had more closure than I did. I drove without music, just the sound of my thoughts trying to rearrange themselves around the new shape of my life. She wanted to keep the marriage for appearances. Appearances. As if our life was just a shop window. As if I were a prop in the background of her carefully curated Instagram timeline. She didn't ask what I thought. She didn't care because in her mind the decision was already made. The only role left for me was silence, and I played it perfectly. But here's the part she didn't expect. I wasn't going to crumble. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to burn it all down silently. I didn't go to a hotel that night. I didn't call a friend. I didn't even crash in my brother's old spare room. I drove to the one place I knew she would never think to look for me. My high school parking lot. Yeah, weird, I know. But that place had always been empty after hours. And right then I needed to sit somewhere that reminded me of when life hadn't become a performance. I parked right where I used to sit in my 1998 Honda Civic, blasting burned CDs while dreaming of our future. When she would sneak out of her house just to climb into my passenger seat and tell me I made her feel safe, now she was gutting our marriage with the same soft tone she used to order Thai takeout. I leaned back and scrolled through my phone, not even sure what I was looking for. Maybe signs, clues, something I had missed. Her texts had been distant for months. Dinner conversations were replaced with one-word answers. Okay had replaced I love you. But the most damning thing, her notifications were always silenced. Not just do not disturb mode. She had that setting on where your messages don't even light up the screen unless you unlock it. And then, out of sheer reflex, I went into our shared Google Calendar. That was our adulting tool. It kept track of her gallery trips and my work shifts. I hadn't looked at it in a while. There it was. Dinner with Spencer. 7:30 p.m. Blue Orchid. Blue Orchid was our spot, except this wasn't tonight's entry. It was from last Wednesday, same time, same restaurant. The day she had a headache and stayed home to rest. Spencer. That wasn't one of our friends. It wasn't even a man I had heard of in passing. I clicked on the event, hoping it was something for work. Maybe even just a dinner with her gallery director or one of her artist fellows. But no. Attached to the calendar invite, there was a note in the description. Private table reserved under Spencer. Wine pre-ordered. Don't forget to wear the black dress. Winky face emoji. The emoji wasn't even ironic. I stared at it for a long time, longer than I'd like to admit. You know that feeling when your stomach drops, but your heart beats faster? Like your body can't decide whether to pass out or run. That's what hit me. She scheduled her date in our calendar like it was just another errand between picking up the dry cleaning and attending her cousin's baby shower. There wasn't even shame in it. That's what broke me the most. It was so clinical, so precise. She didn't stumble into an affair. She planned it like a corporate takeover. I started to wonder if she chose that steak deliberately, rare, bleeding, primal, to test me, to see if I would say something, if I would react. But I didn't, and that silence probably confirmed to her that I would go quietly. She miscalculated. She had no idea who she had married. No, really, because the man she gutted at that dinner table was not going to sit in that rubble forever. I wasn't looking for revenge. Not yet. I was looking for the truth. And by the next morning, I knew exactly where I would start to dig. Her laptop, because there were some tabs I hadn't been invited to open in a long, long time. By morning, I wasn't numb anymore. I wasn't angry either, not in the fire and punch holes in the wall kind of way people imagine heartbreak. Mine was colder, sharper, like the kind of quiet rage you feel in a courtroom when you listen to someone lie under oath. I made coffee like always. The same mug, the same splash of hazelnut creamer she always made fun of me for. But she wasn't home. Her car was gone before sunrise. I didn't ask where she went. I didn't text her. I didn't need to. I waited 15 minutes before I went into her studio. The one she called her sanctuary was more like a curated museum of lies. Bunches of dried eucalyptus hung in the corners. Prints of faceless women scattered across corkboards. A record player spinning something moody in French. The needle still on repeat, but all I saw was the silver MacBook on her desk, partially open, still humming. She never let me use it. Said it had her editing software, her Lightroom presets, her process, but this wasn't about photo filters anymore. It was about facts. I opened it slowly, as if that would change what I might find. The screen came to life. No password, her first mistake. The first tab open was her inbox, harmless at first glance. A few unread messages from photography blogs, one from her bank, and a folder titled Invoices. I clicked on it. Inside were basic PDF receipts, clients I knew, payments she was tracking, normal. But then I saw another folder, personal. The last file was named letter.docs. The kind of file name you give something you never intended to send. I opened it. The first line read, "If you're reading this, it means I either finally got the courage to tell you the truth, or you found it first." I went cold. It was dated over 6 months ago. The letter wasn't an apology. It was a timeline, a confession with bullet points, dates, and an emotional detachment so dry it could have been a PowerPoint presentation. She wrote about Spencer, how they met at a healing retreat in Big Sur, how he made her feel seen, how she realized she had been living a lie with me, but she didn't want to hurt me. She described me as if I were a sofa she didn't want to get rid of. Too familiar to throw out, but too boring to enjoy. She said she never planned to cheat, but once she did, it felt like waking up. Waking up as if loving me had been the coma. I felt my throat close up. Not because of the cheating, not just that, but because she had prepared this document. She had written it, saved it, organized it, but never had the guts to show it to me. She chose to pretend, to plan to cheat on me with precision while I was bringing her chamomile tea at night and massaging her neck because editing gave her migraines. I should have stopped reading. I should have closed the laptop and walked away, but I couldn't. She mentioned how she planned to propose a hybrid arrangement. That staying married would protect her image, especially with her parents. That divorcing me now would raise questions and slow down the creative momentum she had built online. She literally referred to me as a brand asset, a man she could emotionally discard but publicly retain. I wanted to scream, but instead, I leaned back, crossed my arms, and laughed. A low, bitter laugh that seemed to come from somewhere outside of me. I hadn't just been betrayed. I had been repurposed by the woman I gave everything to. And now I wanted more than answers. I wanted to tear down the illusion silently, surgically, and without raising my voice. Because if she planned this like a business transaction, then it was time for me to start treating it like a hostile takeover, one where I would walk away with the one thing that truly mattered to her, control. The first thing I did was move her letter to a new folder. Not delete it. No, I renamed it Tax Receipts 2019 and buried it in a maze of invoice PDFs from 3 years ago. Because if she thought she was the only one keeping secrets, I wanted her to understand what it felt like to live under a microscope and not know it. For the first time in our marriage, I wasn't reacting, I was calculating. She came home that night humming, actually humming. She dropped her keys in the little ceramic bowl by the door and said, "Are you okay? You look tired." Her tone was falsely casual, like she was reading from a script she hadn't practiced. I nodded, said I hadn't slept much. She walked past me, lightly brushing her fingers on my shoulder as if nothing was broken, as if she hadn't just torn open a crack in our foundation, and I handed her the lie back. I watched her go into the kitchen and pour a glass of wine, the same one I brought home for our anniversary 3 months ago. She had saved it, not for us, maybe for him, or for nights like this, where she needed to rinse the guilt with a reserve Cabernet and pretend she still had a husband. I asked her how her day was. She said she went to the co-op, did some editing, took a walk. She didn't mention where she went. I really knew she wouldn't. So I let her lie again and made a note of the time on her phone screen when she set it face down on the counter. 8:22 p.m. Later that night, after she had fallen asleep as easily as someone with nothing to hide, I opened her phone. I wasn't proud of it. I had never gone through her things before. But then again, she had gone through my love like it was a clearance item. So I went into her texts. Nothing. Clean. Too clean. No Spencer. No flirty messages. Not even spam. She had deleted the messages, probably daily, but she forgot one thing, her location history. She hadn't turned it off. And on Wednesday at 7:22 p.m., she was indeed at Blue Orchid. Again, she had been there 3 times in the last month. Each time she told me she had cramps or a migraine. Each time she stayed out just long enough to be believable, just long enough to chip away another piece of me. But now I had something she didn't expect, a pattern. I started collecting her lies like breadcrumbs, not to expose her, not yet, no, but to understand the game she thought she was playing alone. Every dinner excuse, every outfit change, every girl's night she claimed had run long. It all started to form a map, a clear, structured rhythm. She was predictable, and predictable people are vulnerable. I started smiling again, not the real kind, but the kind she needed to see to believe nothing was wrong. I kissed her forehead in the mornings. I made her coffee before she asked for it. I even told her she looked beautiful when she wore that dress, the black one she wore for Spencer. I knew because I found a photo she sent him. She told him, "You make me feel like my body matters again." To me, she used to say, it's not about the physical. It's deeper. Funny how depth changed depending on who was looking. So I played the part of the husband better than ever because I wanted her to feel safe in her lie. I wanted her to believe she still held all the power so she wouldn't see the moment coming. The exact moment I would start to dismantle her life like old wallpaper, strip by strip, until only the blank wall was left underneath. No yelling, no scenes, just quiet, surgical precision. Because what she didn't realize was that the man she thought she had domesticated was now the man silently watching her destroy herself, and he was taking notes. I didn't plan to answer her phone. That wasn't part of my process. I had no interest in confrontation and no intention of turning this into a screaming match or a soap opera. I wanted her to spiral on her own, blindly, comfortably, not knowing that the floor beneath her feet was already gone. But sometimes fate doesn't ask for permission. It was a Tuesday afternoon, 2 weeks after I found the letter, and she had left her phone on the counter while she went outside to water her garden. We were both working from home, or pretending to. She was in her new creative era, as she called it. I was pretending to believe her again. The phone lit up. A call. I didn't mean to look, but the name glowed like a wound. Spencer, no emojis, just clean, crisp, dangerous. I let it ring once, twice. Then I picked it up and walked down the hall with it, my heart pounding like I was 17 again and sneaking out of the house. When I answered, I didn't speak. I just let the silence hang like fog. His voice was smooth, but confident. "Are you there?" I didn't say a word. He paused. "Hello." Still, I remained silent. Then, and this part one will never forget, he said, "If you're with him right now, don't say anything, just hang up. I'll understand." I went cold. The audacity, the casual cruelty, the way he reduced me to a ghost in my own home. I hung up. I didn't block the number. I didn't delete the call. I left it there like a trap. She came back in 10 minutes later, smelling of rosemary and earth, humming again, always humming. She picked up her phone, looked at the missed call, and her face shifted just enough for me to notice. Not panic. She was too trained for that, but a flicker of calculation. She opened her messages, typed something quick, then turned to me and said, "Do you want pasta tonight?" I nodded. "That would be great." She smiled. "Are you okay? You seem quiet." "I'm good," I said, smiling back. "Just tired." I watched her walk away, and this time I noticed the smallest detail. Her voice changed when she lied to me. Softer, sweeter, as if she were trying to shrink herself into the woman he thought he wanted. It was almost pathetic. He didn't even sound like someone worth breaking a marriage over. I started to wonder if it was ever about him, or if he was just the first person who paid attention when she stopped seeing me. That night, she made pasta. She laughed at something on TV. She snuggled up next to me on the couch as if everything was fine. But now I knew not only that she was cheating, not only that she was strategic, but that she was terrified of it all falling apart. And that fear, that was leverage. So I started building my version of the truth silently, piece by piece. I backed up her calendar, copied her letter, downloaded photos she thought she had deleted, pulled metadata from every picture she had sent him. I learned more about her affair in one afternoon than she probably remembered herself. But I didn't confront her, not yet, because the power of a secret isn't in revealing it. It's in letting someone live under it, never knowing when the floor might give way. She wanted to keep up appearances, she wanted control, so I gave it to her. Or at least I let her think I did. And while she was texting him from the bathroom with the faucet running, I started looking for lawyers. Not divorce lawyers, contract lawyers, because she had no idea what kind of paperwork her photography studio was built on and no idea how many of her licenses were registered in my name. She never even read the fine print when she started the studio. Back then it was all excitement and mood boards. She would walk around the house talking about naturally lit spaces and emotional narrative through visuals, and I supported every word of it. I built the website. I put up the money for the camera lenses. I filled out the LLC registration because she said paperwork gave her anxiety. She would hand me documents like they were napkins and say, "You're better at the legal stuff. Just sign where I need to sign." So I did, and so did she, but she forgot. Or maybe she never cared enough to ask what her name was or was not attached to. It took me 30 minutes to find the articles of incorporation in our shared Dropbox. I remembered the password. It was our wedding date. Of course, that irony was not lost on me. I opened a folder I hadn't touched in years, and there it was. Her signature, her digital authorization, giving me 100% management rights, full decision-making authority, and most importantly, control over the studio's bank account. Because it's not like we're ever going to split up, she had said, smiling. It's just paperwork. Paperwork. The same kind she weaponized against me when she hid a lover in her calendar and a goodbye letter in her drafts. I sat with the documents for a while, not acting yet, just taking it in. With every minute that passed, her empire, the one built on carefully curated images and a manipulated brand identity, felt less like a business and more like a glass house held up by my fingertips, and I was getting tired of holding it. I started by changing the automatic payment method for her online hosting. Quietly. I didn't cancel anything, just rerouted the billing. She didn't notice, not right away. She was too busy designing a new series of self-portraits she titled Becoming. The irony again, so loud it could have shattered the windows. Then I blocked her access to the business email, just temporarily, just enough to make her panic and send me a worried text. "Hey, there's a weird glitch with the studio account. Can you look into it?" I replied an hour later. On it. "Might be a security issue." She thanked me. Sent a heart emoji. I imagined her pacing barefoot on her studio floor, wondering why she couldn't access her PayPal, why her booking links were failing, wondering for the first time if the husband she so easily lied to was no longer asleep. She didn't mention it at dinner. That was her pattern. Don't ask, don't confess, don't reveal anything until she was forced to. She poured wine, asked about my day. I told her I was thinking about a career change. I saw the flicker in her eyes. Not concern, not interest, just the silent panic of someone wondering if their foundation has started to shift. Later that night, when she got in the shower, I opened the studio's Instagram account, which I had admin access to. I didn't post anything, didn't delete anything. I just changed the profile bio to a single period. The next morning, she woke me up in a panic. "Did you do something to the studio page? The bio is gone. My bookings are failing. PayPal isn't working. Something is wrong." I sat up slowly. "That's weird. Must be that security issue again." She looked at me, not sure whether to believe me or if she even had the right to question me anymore. Because here's the thing. When you spend years convincing someone they have no power, you never think they'll remember where the power really lies. She went back to her laptop, biting a nail, muttering to herself while I made coffee and hummed. Not because I was happy, but because I finally understood her. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing control, and piece by piece, I was handing her exactly that under the guise of technical glitches and timing issues. She hadn't connected the dots yet, but she would soon because what she didn't know yet, what she had never bothered to ask, was that the studio she built to escape me was legally, financially, and digitally mine. and I was no longer in the business of saving it. It was an email from a bride named Elena that brought everything to a head. I was at work when it came through. Yes, I still worked a full-time job, unlike her. My lunch break had just started when I opened the studio's inbox on my phone out of habit. The subject line read, "Please confirm our session. Urgent." I opened it. Inside was a frantic message from a woman who had booked a pre-wedding shoot with my wife 3 months ago. She said she had sent a deposit. She had the receipt. She had the date marked. She had the dress, the location, the hairstylist, the videographer, the sunset time slot she paid extra for, but she hadn't heard from her in over 3 weeks. No confirmation, no follow-up, nothing. She ended the email with something that stuck with me longer than I expected. I trusted her. This was supposed to be a forever memory. It hit me in a weird way. I thought, me too, Elena, me too. I could have replied. I could have played dumb, but I didn't. I left the email unread for her, because this time I wasn't going to fix it. This time she was going to walk into her own negligence like it was a minefield. When I got home, she was in the living room, typing frantically. I could tell something had broken. Her hair was up in a hasty bun. She was wearing sweatpants, not the aesthetic kind, the real kind, the kind she used to call energy-draining clothes. The glow she used to have was gone. Her empire had stopped humming. "Something is wrong with the booking system," she muttered, barely looking up. "Elena is hysterical. I swear I confirmed her shoot. I don't know what's happening. I think the system reset or glitched or something. It's like my calendar is missing blocks. Have you seen anything weird?" I went to the kitchen, poured myself a water, took a sip, then turned and said, "That's odd. Maybe you should check your admin access. Could be a permissions issue." She looked at me, puzzled. "Permissions? What do you mean?" I shrugged. "Not sure. You know how these tech things are." She opened her mouth as if to ask something else, something specific, but she stopped herself. Instead, she nodded, thanked me, and went back to her screen, typing more aggressively. I watched her spiral for the next 3 days. Emails piled up, clients got confused. One even posted on her public Instagram asking if she was okay. A subtle way of asking, "Why are you ghosting me?" She deleted the comment. Then she changed her comment settings entirely. Then she posted a cryptic black and white photo of a misty forest with the caption, "Sometimes we outgrow what we thought we needed to survive." The likes were few. The comments were turned off. Her illusion was cracking in real time, and I didn't have to lift a finger. I just stood by, offering her water, holding her when she sighed, saying things like, "It'll pass." You always bounce back because that's what she wanted, comfort, not confrontation. And I gave it to her. But inside, I was watching the slow, exquisite implosion of a narrative she had built on curated deception. She still hadn't guessed I was behind the fog, that every glitch, every error, every missing calendar appointment was me. Not deleting, not destroying, just moving things subtly enough to make her question herself. And when people question themselves long enough, they start to come undone. The final crack happened at 2:13 a.m. that night. I woke up and heard her pacing. I heard her muttering numbers to herself, staring at her laptop, refreshing the page. I lay still in bed, breathing slowly, letting her believe I was asleep. I heard her whisper, "What is happening?" And that whisper, so small, so raw, was the most honest thing she had said in months. She was unraveling, not because I exposed her, but because I finally stopped saving her from herself. And tomorrow she would discover that the studio's account had been flagged for verification by the payment processor, because I filed a formal request under my legal right as the managing partner, and they would pause all payments pending clarification of ownership. She would open her banking app and find zeros, not because I had drained it, but because I had frozen it. And this time she would have to ask me directly if she wanted anything back. And when she did, I would ask her the one question she always avoided. "Do you remember what you said at dinner that night?" The morning she finally asked what was happening, she didn't yell, she didn't cry, she didn't accuse, she just stood in the doorway, barefoot, in an oversized sweater, holding her phone like it weighed 50 pounds. Her voice was dry, not sad, not scared, just hollow. "Why can't I access my account?" I was already dressed. My suitcase was packed. My keys were on the table. I didn't look up right away. I just took a sip of my coffee and gave her what she always gave me. A pause long enough to make her question everything. Then I said, "Because it was never just yours." She blinked. I could see her replaying every missed email, Every error message, every blocked payment, every glitch, realizing they weren't glitches. They were gentle, calculated reminders that she had built her life with my hands holding the foundation. And now those hands were gone. I don't understand, she said. But she did. She just didn't want to say it out loud. I stood up, calm, collected, and walked past her into the studio. The letter she wrote, the one I found months ago, was on her desk, printed, unfolded, waiting. I read it, I said. She didn't ask what letter. She knew. She sat down slowly, as if her knees were giving out. I continued. You wanted to stay married for appearances. You said it made you invisible, that you felt like you were faking it. But the truth is, you weren't faking it. You were hiding, and now there's nothing left to hide behind. Her mouth opened slightly as if to say something. Maybe an apology, maybe a lie, but no words came out, just silence. And that was her final answer. No confession, no denial, just emptiness. I placed a manila folder on the desk. Inside, the ownership documents, the new banking details, the formal withdrawal of my partnership. Effective immediately. She would get to keep the brand, the clients, the equipment, but not the man who held the weight of it all. It's yours now, I said. All of it. The pressure, the mess, the consequences. You don't have to pretend anymore. She looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in what felt like years. Where will you go? She whispered. I smiled. A real, small, but real smile. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere nobody knows me as someone's husband. Maybe I'll start painting again, or fishing, or nothing. Maybe I'll just breathe. She didn't follow me to the door. She didn't plead. And as I walked out of the house we built into the morning sun, which somehow looked different now, I felt no regret, no hate, no pain, just relief. Relief that I hadn't yelled, that I hadn't broken, that I had chosen myself before she could unmake me any further. And the best part, the silence that followed me wasn't empty. It was peace. Not the peace of forgetting, but the peace of remembering exactly who I was before I became the background to someone else's story. And this time I was going to write my own.